Many of you who enjoy camping in an RV, travel trailer, van, pop-up camper, or even a car have had to deal with occasionally the issue of collecting and disposing of your greywater. Now, for those of you who are new to camping, greywater in the RV industry is usually the water coming from the kitchen sink and the showers and the bathroom sink if you have one, but not from the toilet. That's the black water, which goes into the black tank on a lot of RVs. Interestingly, not all RVs have a built-in greywater tank. For example, our A-liner pop-up camper has basically a drain pipe with a cap on it that takes the water from the shower and the kitchen sink and drops it wherever it happens to be positioned. In the RV industry, built-in gray tanks can range anywhere from 0 gallons, or none provided, as in the case of our trailer, to 211 gallons, as seen in the $3 million Element Palazzo made by Marquis, which also is 45 feet long and 20 feet tall with a roof deck. I can't possibly cover all the official rules for greywater dumping here in this video. Make sure you know what the rules are wherever you're camped, or you might be fined by the authorities. But let's say that you're in a situation where you don't know what the official greywater dumping rules are. Let's say you're at a campground with no cell phone reception and there's no sign or indication of what you should do with your greywater. Or let's say you're out in a remote location, boondocking or dispersed camping, and you haven't seen anyone for a couple of days. No cars have come by. The temptation in this situation might be to cut some corners and maybe dispose of some of the food you cooked that night in a hole in the ground or under a tree nearby. A lot of us have camped in those situations, but it turns out that there are some very good practical reasons to follow the Leave No Trace guidelines. Collect all of your greywater after scraping all your food material off your plates and disperse it far from your campsite and at least 200 feet from any bodies of water. Number one is bugs. Bugs are very highly attracted to water, especially water with any type of little food material in it. Those pesky yellow jackets can really ruin your camping experience and make it so that you don't want to go outside very often. Wasn't spending more time outside the reason that you wanted to go camping in the first place? Secondly, water, especially any water that has any fish grease, chicken grease, bacon grease in it, is highly attractive to animals that might come by in the middle of the night and wake you up. Or it might attract bears that might try to break into your trailer, which has happened. Third, if you happen to be discharging enough greywater, as in taking a whole lot of 20-minute showers, you will be creating, most likely, a very big muddy mess underneath your trailer, unless you collect the water and dispose of it away from your campsite. It would be a huge problem for the person who occupies your campsite after you do. Fourth, greywater with any food or even just a little bit of soap in it can start smelling pretty bad very quickly, especially in warm weather. And fifth, water pollution. Even though you may be camped fairly far away from a stream, in the winter that stream grows in size and may rise up to the level of your campsite and wash the soap that you left in the ground into the water table. Would you want to be drinking water like that, even if it was filtered? I have to admit, though, that when we go camping, we do bury our cooking grease in the ground under the rationale that it's biodegradable like human bathroom waste, and we bury it like they suggest for human waste, which is digging a cat hole 6 to 8 inches deep and covering it thoroughly. We also make sure it's buried very far from our campsites so that the bears will not be tempted to come on by and look for more. In all of this, consider the person who might be using your campsite after you. And if you really can't muster up the empathy for the person coming in after you, think about yourself. You might want to come back to that campsite again. Would you want to find your soda cans and plastic bottles lying there next year when you come? And how about if you need to pitch your tent on that flat area that you dumped your chemicals on? Sadly, this video can't cover all of these important and interesting topics. Why go to the trouble of building a greywater tank when you can just buy one of these? Here's the portable gray tank that we purchased when we first bought our A-liner. The Toten Store 11-gallon on Amazon. Now it's around $100. We paid around $70. We had a number of problems with this tank. First of all, it was really big and took up a lot of space when it was stored inside our trailer. Also, it was very heavy, which was probably the biggest problem for us. At 10 pounds empty. Also, you can't really see when this is full because of the opaque plastic, so you're always guessing about when it's going to start overflowing and backing up into the kitchen sink. We did use it at this RV park, the Point of Rocks RV park in Prescott, Arizona. The best connection method for us was really an elbow straight out of the drain pipe. Not to mention that when this tank is full, it's about 100 pounds and very heavy to move, even with those wheels, which are very heavy duty, by the way. It's a Reliance portable water container. This flexible gray tank idea sounds like a pretty cool idea. Only one big problem. These things spring leaks very easily. If you just put one sharp item next to this, it will get a hole in it, and that's what happened to ours. And here's the homemade portable gray tank. Basically, it's an HDPE water jug that we decided we weren't going to use anymore for our camping trips. It has a big cap for emptying, and I'll show you how you get this elbow on here and drill this hole and put these washers. And then you also need this part to connect it up to the trailer. And I'll show you how this is made also. It's lightweight and super easy to make. It's translucent. You can see how full it is. And it's 5 gallons, so the most it could weigh is around 40 pounds. We empty it before that usually. And what's really great about this is that you could make a gray tank out of a whole lot of plastic containers, like another different water jug, or I've seen people make them out of paint pails with a sealed lid. There are lots of great alternatives with this. You might want to practice your drilling though on a piece of plastic that you don't care about damaging before you drill into the actual container. 1/2-inch PVC sprinkler pipe, Christie's Red Hot Blue Glue, a drill with a 3/4-inch bit. This is the part I made before with just a piece of hose and some hose repair pieces and some clamps. And this is a PVC fitting that's hose threaded on this end and glue on here. I'm going to glue this to this. This has threads, regular sprinkler 1/2-inch threads, and hose washers. This came with this Orbit set of hose washers from Home Depot that you really need to make sure you have this little piece of PVC. It's just a regular sprinkler riser, 1 3/8 inches long, and it works great with that drill because the threads are just a tiny bit bigger than 3/4. So it screws on pretty well. And a hacksaw. For those of you who have never worked with PVC, it's super easy to cut and it glues really fast. That's the only hard thing. You have to be really ready to put it exactly where you want it once you put the glue on. And be careful picking your drill bits for this project. The one on the left is a clean cutting drill bit. For some reason the one on the right is like a high-speed version. And I made the mistake of buying the one on the right one time, and on the projects I've tried it on, it mainly rips everything up. Clean the burrs off with your fingers. Okay. Okay, I got my glue open with this. As usual. Just get a little bit on there. Get it on there as fast as you can. Sorry, I'm going to use that to wipe this. And then this piece. so this is going to go on like that, and this is going to go like this. There are the threads. I've got this little sprinkler riser, 1/2 inch. Here's the rubber washer. That's going to go on there like that. Push that up against the top, tighten it down. Okay, put this back on. That'll be for dumping. So now I'm going to leak test this thing. Okay, here's my leak test. I just put a hose end cap on there, and you can see the water. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's leaking. This is 1.5 inch pipe here, and you can buy this adapter on Amazon. Everybody's got one of these, I think, already. So that's it. If you're in a campsite where you need more distance to the ground and you've drilled your inlet hole into the corner of the tank, you can get more height by simply swiveling the tank. So if you're in the opposite situation where the ground is close to the trailer, you can swivel it down like that and get a shorter or shallower slope. And you can see at this point the inlet pipe here is lower than the pipe on this tote store, which is a very good thing. Basically, as long as you're maintaining a decent slope from your drain pipe, you will not get any backing up into your kitchen sink. So here's how low you could go with this. So I've still got some slope. You could go all the way up to here. Now, of course, in this position, the water level is going to have to end right here, and then you will start getting backing up into your pipe. But honestly, we prefer to empty it when it's like half full. When it gets up to the full 5 gallons, it weighs around 42 pounds, which is honestly pretty heavy and hard to move around. So we empty it when it's about here. This elbow here does tend to move around when it's in storage on the road, and of course it needs to be tightened down to prevent leaking the most, but most of the time it hasn't been leaking at all for us, and the downfall is that this can get broken off if something pushes on it too hard. So keep it tightened down and don't store it underneath or next to anything big and heavy. Here we are camped at the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation campground in San Diego County, and this is an example. This is a good place to illustrate. It's important where you drill your hole in your homemade gray tank, because you know the elevation of the trailer or RV can change at every particular campsite. So here we had to prop up this end of the trailer, and as a result the drain line's higher. So if you ever decide to come to the Los Coyotes Indian Reservation campground, it's beautiful. There are lots of huge oak trees, not the deciduous type, the live oak and other varieties that are typically not this big. They're really tall here. This is the first time I've seen this. You can walk up north of the campground here. We took a stroll yesterday up this way. And the only thing I would say about camping here is this is definitely a BYOB campground, meaning bring your own bathroom. The bathrooms here are abandoned. They have some plastic, vault toilet type toilets, but they are the dirtiest I've ever seen, with stuff up almost to the rim. So please, remember to bring your own facilities. It's going to be a lot cleaner that way. Also, bring your own drinking water here. There's no potable water. We're in love with this new gray tank. Having this gray tank has made our camping trips so much easier. Packing and unpacking is much easier and faster, and dumping our gray water is much easier. Thanks for watching.